Our next honorable guest is Mr. Fengqi Wu, who is a Christian priest and is a vegetarian. Pastor Feng, please.
Welcome, Father.
無長師你好
How are you, Father?
Fine, thank you very much. 你曾經開示過咧，金星、火星咧，以前都好似地球一樣咧，面臨咧係暖化問題嘅。但因為佢哋咧冇即時咧去拯救，導致到而家咧一片嘅荒蕪死靜。咁我哋地球人咧而家係面對同樣嘅嚴重嘅暖化問題。如果我哋咧唔去同心協力、全球一致咁面對呢個問題，咁唔知我哋會唔會好似咧變成咧下一個金星同埋火星咧？唔該。
Thank you, Father, for this very, very important question. Thank you for being with us and being such a loving, concerned, reverend like you are. Yes, Reverend Feng, I'm afraid that is correct. According to planetary scientists, Mars and Venus were probably like planet Earth at an earlier time. They had a comfortable atmosphere, warmer temperatures, oceans, and lots of water. There's evidence that both of them experienced extreme climate changes. Thus today we see that Mars' surface looks like there had been oceans, mountains, and rivers carved into them, even though there is hardly any living atmosphere left. And Venus today looks like it accumulates too many destructive elements due to a runaway greenhouse gas effect. The gases are still trapped on Venus at unbearable temperatures that no being could possibly inhabit it. Well, no physical beings. But I do know that there are unpleasant, invisible beings who live on Venus right now. We would not want to get there. We would not even want to know them. They are very, very unpleasant beings. Their nature and behavior are far too vicious for us humans to feel comfortable in contact with them. So even based on studies of other planets' cases of climate change, we talk about scientific evidence now, okay? Astronomers are worried that our planet Earth might become like either Mars or Venus. Dr. David Greenspoon, who is one of the scientists working on the Venus Express project with the European Space Agency, even said that we should learn from the examples of these other planets to get smarter and not to take it for granted that our Earth has had a stable, livable atmosphere in comparison and that it will last forever if we don't take care of it. Now, the scientists also say it is possible that there was once life on Mars and Venus. Through meditation and inner knowledge, and also through the knowledge of higher planetary beings, I have been able to contact the people in Mars. Their ancestors were the survivors of the global warming catastrophe. They kindly gave us permission to share their sad past experience and painful lesson with the Earth people. That it was their meat diet, their other unpleasant habits, their livestock production that emitted too much hot and poisonous gas, which triggered the release of other greenhouse gases from huge stores under the soil and ocean. Venus experienced similar as well. The people killed animals for food and lacked compassion, and so their extreme, unkind activities led to their climate crisis once the store of their good merit ran out. So tragically, the vast majority of people on Mars and all the people on Venus perished within a short time, along with the animals and plant life. Very sad history. Our planet is also facing a similar fate very soon. I'm afraid to say that, but I have to. If we don't stop the meat production and consumption, we will face similar situation like Mars or Venus. At present, there is a risk that the current gases will trigger much more gases in massive quantities that we might not be able to stop anymore if we don't start now. Time is running out. There are massive quantities of gases, poisonous and explosive, such as under the permafrost. Well, it already happened on many parts of the earth, as you might be well aware through the media or scientific reports. Now the gas released then causes more warming, which causes even more gas to be released. This is like a vicious circle. They even call this vicious feedback cycle so-called climate time bomb. It happened on Mars and Venus. I pray it won't happen to Earth. I pray day and night to our Almighty Father, to the Buddhas in all directions, to all the divine beings, to please help us to awaken all the people on the planet on time, to realize the danger that we are in, to realize that we are truly running out of time. We are running out of time. We must wake up soon. We must make a small sacrifice and changes. I'm hopeful. I'm having a positive feeling that it won't happen to us, but we all must work. We cannot sit there and wait for a miracle to happen. God needs us to represent Him in compassion and merciful heart in the way we live a godly life, befitting the God children. If we all become vegan and live a virtuous, compassionate life, it won't happen. It's still not so too late. It's still hopeful. Our planet will not follow this fate of Mars and Venus, and instead will be saved and thriving in every corner. Please help us, Father. Please, Father Fong, you have the power also to know many people and help us and all the people on the planet. Please pray with us and help us to spread the urgent message to be vegan so that lives will be spared and the precious earth will regain her balance and our godlike nature will be preserved forever and pleasing to heaven. Thank you, Father, for being with us. Thank you for your blessing.
Thank you. Thank you, Master. Thank you.
Thank you, Master. Thank you, Pastor. So, with our effort, we hope we will not see the climate time bomb on the earth.
European Parliament supports reducing meat to lower greenhouse gases.
Roll call vote. Vote is now open.
Reduce your meat consumption or stop eating meat totally.
During discussions on greenhouse gas reduction goals, the Climate Committee of the European Parliament officially recognized livestock's contribution to global warming and recommended a reduction of subsidies to the livestock industry to curb methane.
The European Parliament has adopted its own position on climate change as an institution. And as a Vice President, one of the proposals I have made is in line with your own, which is that we should eat far less meat, because that's one of the major sources of greenhouse gases.
We know that the agriculture and the meat production is one of the main causes of gas emission, and so it's very clear that the ratio per habitant of meat has to decrease.
My
My name is Jens Holm. I'm a member of the European Parliament. Please, be veg, go green, save the planet.
Master, we have now a 7-year-old little girl, Andrea Au, who would like to ask you some questions.
Hello, Master
Welcome.
Cheng Hai. I am
Hello.
an environmental advocate. I always
Wow.
work with my mom to save electricity at home and like to do recycling in my daily life. As I know that the planet Earth was sick with too many human activities, and I want to make my home the only home comfort, so that we can continue to live happily and harmoniously day by day. Dear Master, some people say that the food which is good for Earth is definitely good for human beings, because human beings and nature are one as a whole. Could you tell us more on this?
Wow, good girl. Good girl, Andrea. Good girl. Good example. I'm counting on you to save the planet. Yeah, you and your mom. Thanks a lot for helping. And by the way, 你好亮. You're beautiful. You are so smart and pretty. Thanks for your intelligent question. What you said is perfectly correct. The food we eat that is most harmonious with Mother Nature is also good for humans' health and spirit, because all of us are one, are connected. Being one with nature simply means that if we see a friend suffer, we would also feel sad. If we hurt our animal friends, we will feel sorry and suffer. Even sometimes we are not aware of the suffering, but it will come nevertheless. That's why all the wise teachers of the past told us not to hurt others if we don't want to be hurt. Like Confucius said, do not do to others what we do not wish to be done to ourselves. What kind of food is best for the environment and best for humans? It's the organic vegan diet. Organic because we don't want harmful chemicals to be sprayed everywhere and running into our water, poisoning the river, the soil, and all living things, making humans sick as well. Similarly, we don't want to kill or harm our animal friends, so we should choose vegan food. This means no meat or dairy products, so that no animal has to die or feel pain for us to live is not necessary at all. We have abundant food and nutrition from the vegetable kingdom. Yes. Also organic because this practice will absorb huge amounts of CO2 already existing in the air, thus cooling our planet. Also, eating meat causes a lot of pollution to Mother Earth. This is from a United Nations report. The livestock sector emerges as one of the top 2 or 3 most significant contributors to the most serious environmental problems at every scale, from local to global. Recently, the scientists has reported that meat diet contributes more than 50% of greenhouse gases, which is very dangerous for our planet's survival. Now, if we multiply the animals so much and continuously, their waste alone creates huge mountains of pollution as well. For example, one animal farm with 5,000 pigs produces the same amount of waste as one whole town of 20,000 people. Imagine that, huh, Andrea? One dairy cow farm with 2,500 cows produces as much waste as an entire city of 411,000 people. So we may wonder, where does all this waste go? The problem is their bacteria-filled waste is almost never treated and is too much for the land to absorb, so it runs into our drinking water. It pollutes the air, and it contaminates food crops with deadly bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella. That's why you heard recently that even tomatoes, the harmless fruit that we make salad, was even contaminated with bacteria. So this making animal products a killer of life on our planet. The best food, therefore, is the cruelty-free, eco-friendly, loving, organic vegan diet. Thank you, Andrea, for caring about the earth at your tender age. I'm very proud of you. Now, if you add to that organic vegan diet, you would really be a heroine of the planet, saving lives and making a shining example, and a best friend of the animals, which you love so much. Thank you. God bless you and your mom.
Thank you. Thank you, Master. And thank you, our lovely Andrea. And in fact, Andrea is a 7-year-old little girl, but she knows many, many languages. And she's a very smart little girl. Yes. I think she knows Spanish. Is that so? Yeah? Yeah? Good. Very good. Very smart little girl.
Sí, hấu liang.
Our next honorable guest is Mrs. Rosina Marita Arcrati. She is a vegetarian and animal communicator and founder of Animal Talk.
Good afternoon. I'm actually vegan.
Good afternoon. Vegan. Welcome. Welcome.
Yes. You cannot talk to animals and kill them or make them suffer. So you have to be all round. My one question to you, Master, is very simple. Human slavery was abolished over 150 years ago. How can we end animal slavery now?
Yes, madam. I ask the same question time again. By the way, for the audience there, just a little explanation. When Madame Maria say that she's a vegan instead of vegetarian, there is a little difference. I did not know the difference before. I thought vegetarian is vegetarian. But actually, because many people made vegetarian into a non-pure vegetarian diet. Like some people would say they are vegetarian, but they say they eat chicken, only chicken. And some people say they are vegetarian, but they eat eggs. And some people say they are vegetarian, but they, eat all the things, drink milk, cheese, honey, or something like that, and wear leather stuff. The vegan people are the purest vegetarian. They don't use any animal products. They don't even take honey. And they don't take milk. They don't have dairy products, any animal traces at all in their diet. And that is the difference. That's why Madame Maria said that I'm a vegan instead of a vegetarian. Understood now? The difference? Yeah. So smart. Yeah, so smart, yes. Now, to answer your question, Madam, it is, you're right, a form of slavery, isn't it? Our treatment, our horrible treatment of our fellow beings, the harmless, defenseless, innocent animals. It is heartbreaking to think about it. Today, we treat countless animal beings in much the same way and even worse, because they all face the cruelty of massacre and death. At least not all slaves have to be confined in such a small cages that the animals could not even turn around all their entire, short, miserable suffering tormented life. So animal farming is beyond slavery, madam. It's a death row sentence marked since birth. Entire species of beings are seen as inferior and labeled as objects for buying, selling, torturing, breeding, abusing, and murdering at the end, in such a cruel way that make us human the cruelest beings on the planet. And we should not be in that level because we are human beings. We are human beings. We should be humane. We should have compassion, love, and feeling for others, just as if it is ourselves. Put ourselves in that position of the animals, then we know what we're talking about. Their God-given lives do not belong to themselves, but to the so-called owner and ultimately to the consumer. And we helped to create their misery. All of us, or most of us, until we awaken somehow by some good friend, some good situation, some urgent call somewhere. And then our merciful heart wake up and saying to ourselves, oh no, this is not right. This is not correct. This is not the way I want it for our animals, for our co-inhabitants to be. That's not the way I want to treat the harmless, the innocent, the defenseless, the even benefactor to humans. The similarities that you mentioned about slavery are shocking. But worse still, worse than slavery, this is the most cruel practice that we humans should never imagine that exists on our planet. Especially already 21st century, we had so many masters that graced our planet. Jesus Christ, Sakyamuni Buddha, Prophet Muhammad, the Jainist master, Mahavira, etc., etc. Guru Nanak, you name whatever religious leader and founder, they all taught us compassion and love. They all taught us to respect all beings as the creation of God. So how can we end animal slavery? Well, we can look at history and study how human slavery was abolished. All it took was a change of perception, a change of heart. It's the same with animals. We must see them as the noble, precious, nobly endowed, feeling beings, as they really are, because they are. Some of their quality we human should even learn from it. The loyalty of the dog, the selfless sacrifice of your pet when it comes to rescuing their family members or so-called owners. They would not mind their life. They would lay down their life gladly, anytime, for their loved one. If you just remember, when you look on television, there's some rescue scene when we have disaster, earthquake or something that destroy our home and many people buried under the rubble. Many dogs are sent from different countries or within the countries to go there to rescue the humans. They're walking, running, barefooted, and they run into every corner on broken glasses, on heated stones, under dangerous condition, just to try to find the human who survived under the rubble. They did not even think for 1 second how dangerous the situation is, how their life could be terminated every second. They just concentrate on their mission to rescue human beings. Now, we humans sometimes think twice about that. I'm sorry if I have offended any of you. I probably would think twice myself. In that situation, if I wanted to rescue somebody, whether it is safe for me also to do it. But dogs, for example, they never think. They never. They lay down their life any time for us. Now, if we humans think animals are inferior to us, I beg you to think again. We should respect them, love them, protect them, instead of thinking of them as an inferior object. Now, just 150 years ago, as you mentioned, Madam, human slavery was the norm. At that time, people thought that slavery is normal. So almost everybody owned a slave or two and treat them the way they want, even branded them with hot iron to make sure that everybody recognized that it's a privately owned slave and not to be taken away or stolen or sold again. See, it was a normal thing to own a slave and to treat the slave as such, like an inferior object. Today, we are more civilized. Well, I think. Today, slavery is an atrocity. It's recognized internationally. A heinous crime. And the day will come when the same is true for animal slavery and massacring. But until we get there, we must be like the abolitionists and try to show others that animals are not here for us to abuse or to eat. They are here for their own purpose, designed by God, and deserve freedom, respect, and life, just like we do. Urge your government leaders to ban this cruel and harmful system as well. The famous vegan law professor in the US, Professor Gary Francione, calls this the abolitionist approach. He says that if we don't support slavery and want to get rid of it, we can start by getting rid of it in our own personal lives. If we don't support slavery, then we would choose no animal products at all. And we don't support cruelty, then we will abolish all animal products from our life. And if each one of us makes this humane choice to end the slavery in our own lives, then together we can abolish the entire cruel system that make us less than human, that liken us to the so-called, we call them wild beasts, like the lion and the tiger. But the lion and the tiger, they eat when they're hungry only. We even eat for pleasure at the expense of the suffering, torture, murder animals. We call the lion and the tigers wild beasts because they are wild. They eat live animals. They chase, they hunt and eat live animals. Well, then we have to be different. If we want to call ourselves human, the children of God. Can you imagine? Would God do this? Would God come down here on earth and kill everything in sight, from the sky to the deep ocean, just to feed himself? Would God do that? No. If there is a God, would he do that? No. Okay. No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, we are supposed to be the children of God, like Father, like Son, no? If there is a God that we believe, or there's a Buddha that we would believe, that come down here, God would never kill any animals to eat. God would protect them. Yes, feed them, love them. Is that not so? Yes. Yes, that is the God that we imagine that we would worship and trust. Yes? What kind of God who goes around and eat everything in sight? And we would also run away because of fear and terror. Now, if we are the children of God, the disciples of the Buddhas, then like Father, like Son, like Master, like disciples, we must do the same. We must represent a God that is merciful, compassionate, loving, kind, protective to the weak and the innocent and the harmless. Not only the animals are harmless, they are very, very useful to us. They are a blessing to the planet. They give the planet more love than we could emit. That's why our planet is still held in balance. Without the loving animals, our planet would probably have gone long ago. The way we treat it, the way we treat ourselves, each other, other beings, and the environment, our planet would have been gone. But God is merciful. He sends more and more animals, different species, to come here to help to balance the negative atmosphere of our planet, to make it more loving, more bearable, so that it still hangs in balance. But now it's too much. It's too much for the animals to even help us with their loving, kind atmosphere. So please, we now have to stand up and help ourselves. It's high time that we should behave in a way that is not liken us to the animals that we call wild beasts, like lion and tigers, for example. Now, the entire cruel system could be abolished for animals, just as we did 150 years ago, if we convince ourselves and others who are not informed yet. Because human beings are born noble, loving, and kind. We have just been misled. We have just been misinformed. We have just been too busy to think. So if we inform ourselves of the cruel reality, very cruel reality, and be a shining example of compassion, be a vegan, then I'm sure we can make this tragic yet needless practice disappear for good, abolished forever. And all beings will live in peace, harmony, happy, fearless of one another. Thank you so much, Madam.
Thank you, Master. Thank you for your benevolent answer. Thank you, Mrs. Rosina.
Some of the benefits of a vegetarian diet: lowers blood pressure, lowers cholesterol levels, reduces type 2 diabetes, prevents stroke conditions, reverses atherosclerosis, reduces heart disease risk 50%, reduces heart surgery risk 80%, prevents many forms of cancer, stronger immune system, increases life expectancy up to 15 years, higher IQ, saves 70% of the total cost of $40 trillion for reducing global warming, uses 4.5 times less land to grow food, conserves up to 70% clean water, saves 80% of the cleared Amazonian rainforest from animal grazing. A solution for world hunger. Free up 3.4 billion hectares of land, free up 760 million tons of grain every year, half the world's grain supply, consumes 1/3 fossil fuels of those used for meat production, reduces pollution from untreated animal waste, maintains cleaner air, saves 4.5 tons of emissions per U.S. household per year, stop 80% of global warming. Plus more.
We have our next honorable guest, Miss Peggy Poon. She is a system analyst and is also a vegetarian.
Welcome, Miss Peggy.
多謝青海無上師同埋大會俾機會俾我發問啦。咁我嘅問題就係話，素食救地球已經係刻不容緩嘅唯一解決嘅方法。咁但係我哋亦都需要兼顧嗰啲從事畜牧業啦、副食品啦，同埋相關行業，好似運輸啊、批發啊、零售啊、餐廳或者消費場所既得嘅利益者。咁呢啲衝擊同埋改變對佢哋嘅影響咧非常大嘅。咁即使政府願意放棄經濟考慮，但係有啲呢啲咁嘅從業員咧，對佢哋慣以為生嘅專長、投資啊同埋習慣，卻難以喺短時間裏邊適應同埋轉型嘅。咁請問無上師應該點樣可以令到佢哋重新出發，甘願改變 ？Thank you。
多謝。Thank you for your question. And thanks for your consideration for others. Yes, that is true, that we have to take into consideration those people who are in the business that you have mentioned, how they would change their life. Yes, but it's not difficult. First of all, we have to know that we have no choice but to change. We have no choice, either that or the planet. Either we change or we will all go. There's no choice anymore. If we don't stop the livestock rising and meat eating practice, we will not be able to save the planet, including them and their meat business. So I think we have to choose between our lives and a career. We have to survive first. We have to think of the planet people as a whole, not just some business. It is truly that urgent. Given this critical necessity, these people who are economically tied to the meat industry would be willing to change if they were properly informed and know how important it is to change their lifestyle and their career. They have many strong motivations. For example, the first is to save the planet from a climate catastrophe, save all lives in this world. If we don't stop it, we will continue on a course toward total disaster and mass extinction, affecting everyone, whether you are in the business of meat, transportation for it, etc., or not, a related job of the meat industry. Second, the industry that we are talking about is bad business. It's not lucrative at all for the whole planet, for everybody. See, it's a most inefficient business. In Chinese, we would say 亏本. 亏本 means it's the loss of capital. Now, the meat industry is not a very lucrative business. With very high production costs for electricity, water, and grains have to be wasted to produce the same amount of so-called food, which is replaceable and better. We have better food than meat. For example, madam, if there were no subsidies for a hamburger for the meat industry, if there were no subsidies, if the government didn't give them any subsidies for the meat industry in any case, then a hamburger that some people eat, produced by clearing forests in India alone, would cost $200, not just 99 cents, like the way you would buy it in some shop, for example. You see, it would cost $200, the real cost of a hamburger. Now in the US, even before the swine flu impacted the pig farming business, the pig industry has been losing billions of dollars in the pig industry. Why? Because they cannot afford the grains to feed their livestock due to the high food prices. And the food prices getting higher and higher nowadays. So, how do they survive? Your tax money going to the government subsidizes them. That's how they survive. So it's a losing business. It's a 亏本 business. In Chinese, mean losing capital business. Mean it's not a good business. Everywhere from the US to China, the government has to subsidize animal farmers by paying them at least tens of billions of US dollars every year. Tens of billions of US dollars every year for meat industry. And where's the money come from? Taxpayer, yeah, correct. You are so smart. Your money from your hard-earned, daily sweating, tearing to earn that precious substance that we call money, to feed yourself, take care of your family, protecting your children and your relatives and friends. This money has been draining into the meat industry in order to keep them alive. And then when you buy some piece of meat, you think, oh, so cheap. A hamburger, 99 cents. My God. And then keep going to, the hamburger shop. But that's your money that you're eating. Okay, fine. If you can eat that and be healthy, happy, then it would be reasonable. But it's not. These hamburger and beef burger contain all parts of the animals that you don't know where they even come from. And contain all kind of bacteria, all kind of disease, breeding causes that you will find easily available if you want information. If you want information from the medical journals or medical scientists, they will tell you all this. Not only we pay a lot of tax money into the subsidies for the meat industry, we pay a lot more tax money for the hospitalization, for the burying of our loved ones, for the heartache that we have to bear the whole lifetime, for losing one of our dearest, or many of our dearest. And okay, life and death, we can't avoid. But the suffering in between, the hospitalization, the poking, picking, injecting, breathing machine, oxygen, supporter, etc., all this suffering is unnecessary for our fragile body to bear. If we avoid meat, we will avoid all that. The money for hospital, medicine. And not only that, before we get the medicine, we make more animals suffer by experimenting with them, by vivisection, by injecting chemicals into their bodies, by making them suffer totally no end, just to obtain the medicine that we feel safe for human use. And again, it's still not safe for human use. All this suffering, all this tax money, paying again and again, and you working day and night to make ends meet, just to survive. And all this money goes into different directions. It doesn't help you at all. It's just wasting resource, finance, and national strength, and humans' health and happiness. It's just a waste. It's just a very, very, very bad business. So you see, the meat industry is terrible, terribly harmful to us in every imaginable situation, in any imaginable aspect. Now, if the subsidies are not going in to support them, the farmers of the animals raising industry could not make ends meet with their business. They would have gone out of business already. So I suggest the government don't give animal subsidies to animal raising industry. Instead, tell them to convert into vegan farmers. Now, besides all that, for the majority of the workers in the meat business, it's not a safe working place either. It's one of the most dangerous jobs, with some of the highest rates of injury and exposure to chemicals and diseases like influenza, swine flu, bird flu, etc., and mad cow disease, which is always fatal, always deadly. Mad cow disease, up to now, we can't even cure it. Anybody contract mad cow disease, their life is terminated. Now we have to ask ourselves, is it all worth it? This is not to talk about the effect on the meat consumers in terms of all the sickness, cancers, diabetes, and health problems, heart diseases, almost all diseases that you can name come from meat diet or related. So given a better choice for livelihood, wouldn't we choose the one that helps ourselves and others stay healthy over a profession that made people and ourselves sick and die young? Would you say yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I have suggested before that we should talk to the farmers, write to them, Even going to them one by one if you can afford it, to try to show them that there are better alternatives, such as growing organic vegetables. Nowadays, organic food is very in demand, very in. Many people turn into vegetarian or vegan now. And everybody knows organic vegetables are very healthy. You see, if you eat organic vegetable, you will hardly have to go to the hospital. And all the money we can save to better education for the children, yes, better care for the elderly, and building more beautiful road, more equipment, invention, and use it more for sustainable energies, for free for everybody. Free energy for everybody, free education for all the children, free care for all the elderly, and free food for all the 1 billion at least hunger people in the world. The benefits is no end. I can write 10,000 books about the benefit of vegetarian diet and the harm of the meat industry. But I let you do research a little bit because you know all the good technique nowadays with computer and information on the internet, okay? You mentioned that we should also care about the people who have been in the meat industry and that might be difficult for them to change. It's not so. It's not so, madam. There are many who convert themselves into organic farmers right now. And in Ireland, the agriculture minister even wrote to all the farmers in Ireland to tell them to convert themselves into organic farming, vegetable farming. And they subsidize them even. And right now there's a huge percentage of farmers convert themselves into organic farming. I'm so happy for Ireland, yes. Now, for some other example for your reference, there was one American pig farmer who had owned many pigs all crammed in a filthy factory farm after being visited by the famous vegan author John Robbins. You probably know him, the famous ice cream hare. And he left his father's business of ice cream, multi-million dollars business, in order to go into vegan direction. So he visited this pig farm. And then this farmer suddenly remembered that in his childhood, he truly loved one pig as his close friend and companion. But he was forced to deny and forget these loving feelings due to the pressure of his family and society. You know, tradition, business from the father. Yeah. But after realizing he could no longer abuse the gentle pig one more second, he decided to quit. So instead of raising pigs anymore, he bought a small organic farm and sells organic vegetables. And he's doing fine. He's still alive. Yeah. And his heart is still more alive than ever, I guess. There was another, and by the way, as a side job, he brings his 10 pet pigs. He has 10. That's his pet that he kept from his old farm and visits schools now often to show the children how intelligent and friendly pigs really are. So the children will not eat the pigs, for example. Not only he doesn't raise pig anymore, he goes into the opposite direction to protect the animals. And there was a rancher, he's a Texan. In Texas, they raise a lot of cows. And that's where the word cowboys come from. He owned a big ranch of cows, but then suddenly he changed because he had cancer from meat. After he treated himself, became vegan, now he's the animal advocate. He goes everywhere lecturing, telling people the truth, the real truth, the cruel truth, and the bad business truth about raising animals. He's a very staunch advocate for animals. His name is Howard Lyman, Lyman, yes. He's from Texas. He was one or twice guest speakers on the Supreme Master Television. You can download them again. It's still in the file to download if you want to know about him. And recently, in Iran, there was a dairy cow farmer. He even wrote to us telling his story, who also decided that he needed to change his career to help the planet and his own conscience. So he made sure all his cows were adopted to good, safe homes to live the rest of their dignified lives. And now he works at a vegan restaurant. And another story comes from Formosa, where a pig farmer just became vegan after watching the Supreme Master television and realizing that he wanted to protect the environment and avoid bad karmic retribution for himself and his family. So right now, know what he's doing? You don't know, huh? Okay, I tell you. He's keeping all his pigs as spoiled family member pets for life, and he's switching to a different kind of farming. In all these cases, the people involved are doing just fine, even better than ever before. But I suggest that all the people who keep their pigs or cows as pets, I think we should sterilize them so that we don't continue to breed too many animals, because then we would be in the same position right now, or even worse, if they keep multiplying. It took a great amount of courage in the beginning to change their whole life career around, but all of them would guarantee that it was worth it, more than worth it. It's worth the great freedom of their heart, their spirit, and happiness of their family as well, and health. Nowadays, there are more and more good opportunities for the farmers, retailers, transporters. They just do the same. Instead of transporting pigs, they transport organic vegetables, yes, etc. Or the farmer retailers, they could switch from the meat business to organic vegetable farming. Returning to traditional organic farming methods is already proven by success in Africa, for example, and in some places like the Americas, Europe, and Australia. Organic vegan farming is growing very, very fast and very, very profitable right now because there's a growing demand. People are more informed about the harm of the meat and more informed about the benefit of vegetarian diet. So organic vegan vegetable farming should be very, very, very good for anyone who wants to switch business. On the Supreme Master television, we also feature a whole section about organic farming on our website as well, www.suprememastertv.com. On this website, we share a lot of info about how to do organic farming, which is very profitable, costs less water, a lot less work, and very beneficial to our health, to the workers, and to the planet. Yeah. So please feel free to take a look and discover for yourself the great benefits of harmonious farming. It's high time we turn away from the harmful, unsustainable meat business and go toward a more civilized, more efficient, more sustainable, more humane means to earn a living, namely organic vegan farming, or vegan restaurants, vegan products, vegan product selling, etc. Everything to do with compassionate living is good for you, and it's pleasing to heaven, and it will save the planet. It's not just good business, it will save the planet, and it will save countless lives, now and in the future, including the one involved in the meat business. That's why the Buddha named the meat business as one of the 5 businesses that people should not engage in. Do you want to know another 4 as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The meat business is a bad business. It's very bad for you. And the other 4 are a business in weapons, business in human trafficking, business in intoxicants, and business in poison. All these harmful business are bad for you now and in the future.
Some of the tragic tolls of addictive drug abuse, over 200,000 deaths each year, costs of $181 billion each year in the United States, $33 billion in the UK. Lifetime cost of current drug addiction amounts to $575 billion in the UK. Harmful effects: brain damage, stroke, heart disease, liver disease, tuberculosis, emphysema, cancer, depression, suicide, permanent memory loss, mental illness, higher infant mortality, increased crime and violence, impotence. Crime and violence. Illegal drugs are a factor in 50% of burglaries in the United Kingdom each year. In the U.S., 60% of people arrested each year have been taking illegal drugs. 650 heroin addicts in the U.S. committed 70,000 crimes in a 3-month period. Social costs. U.S. businesses lose $100 billion per year due to employees' drug and alcohol abuse. Australians pay $53 billion per year for healthcare, law enforcement, and lost productivity of drug users. Environmental costs. Every gram of cocaine produced destroys 4.4 square meters of rainforest, with 300,000 hectares of rainforest lost each year to cocaine production. Death. 52 people die each day due to drugs in the U.S. In Canada, substance abuse is attributed to 21% of total deaths and 23% of potential life years lost due to early mortalities. Plus more.
Some of the tragic tolls of alcohol. 2.3 million alcohol-related deaths per year worldwide. Cost of alcohol-related illnesses. $186.4 billion in the United States. Up to $210 to $665 billion globally.
Disease. Higher amounts of alcohol increase the cancer risk. Even half a glass of wine daily increases the risk of mouth or throat cancer by 168%. Cancer of the liver, breast, colon, esophagus, rectum. Liver disease. Cardiovascular disease. Metal toxicity. Brain damage. Amnesia and dementia. Brain shrinkage.
Organ failure. Heart, liver, kidneys, stomach, pancreas, eyes.
Birth defects. Children afflicted by anxiety and depression. Mental retardation. Fetal alcohol syndrome. Stunted growth. Facial deformity. Sudden infant death syndrome. Miscarriage.
Alcohol-related violence. Child abuse, 50% of cases. Violence toward loved ones, 30% of cases. Violent acts, 40 to 80% of cases. Suicides, 20 to 50% of cases. Plus more.
For more urgent information, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/killers.
If you believe in the life hereafter, if you believe in heaven and hell, you should stop the meat business immediately, like yesterday. Because nothing good awaits you in the life after if you cause suffering to others, be it human or animals. You will have multiple suffering in return and for a long, long time. So instead, these people in meat industry should join in the trend which has already begun and expands hugely every day, I'm happy to say. Thank you. Be veg, go green, plant organic vegetable.
Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master, for your insightful views on the benefits of vegan farming.
Thanks for the question. Yes. Thanks for the inspiring question.
And thank you, Ms. Poon, for this question.
Yeah, good question. Really inspiring.
Master, our next honorable guest is Mr. Chen-Sun Yi. Mr. Chen-Sun Yi is the executive chair of the HSBC Bank, managing cater for major of the HSBC Bank, including fine dining for the top management of Ming Building, a total 5 business unit of HSBC.
Wow.
青海師傅你好，我有個問題，好多香港人呢都認為香港係一塊福地，到目前為止呢，似乎所有嘅災害，例如風災啊、雨災啊，都襲擊唔到香港，咁而且香港呢，亦都係非常熱心於即係慈善公益嘅，就認為咁樣呢就可以消災抵禍。我想請問師傅，咁樣嘅諗法係咪可以抵抗呢個氣候嘅改變呢？唔該。
你好, chef. Wow, such a big chef. We are privileged that you are here today. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your presence. I'm sure that what you say is true about the charitable quality of the Hong Kong people. I have known it myself when I was in Hong Kong. Many times, and sometimes over many, many months, I've noticed that Hong Kong people are very pious people, very charitable. Yes. Virtue and generosity of spirit certainly do have a positive effect on our life. At the same time, we should be aware that there are many levels of virtue and merit, and that the highest charity one can offer is the gift of life and freedom. So, especially at this critical time on our planet, what is needed is a more spiritual sense, is to let all beings live, meaning to stop killing on all levels. Chef Chan, I read that the government of Hong Kong mercifully abolished capital punishment over 15 years ago, in 1993. So now, the people of Hong Kong just need to extend their compassion to animals who did not commit any crimes even. They are not criminals, the animals. So we should abolish the death sentence for all animals as well and turn to the meat-free vegan diet. This will offer true protection from the climate crisis because the vegan diet does not harm sentient beings and thus offer the highest merit, the highest reward of all, and therefore reduces the bad retribution significantly. Also, if you're Buddhist, you remember the Buddha say the first precept, the first thing a Buddhist should not do is not to kill. Also, through the daily practice of the spiritual principle known as ahimsa, or non-violence, charity is naturally cultivated in one's heart. Even if you do not feel that Hong Kong needs this level of virtue, Chef Chan, I'm sure you already know that a disease such as swine flu doesn't spare anyone, which has severely affected the Hong Kong people, also comes from animal killing. And in terms of global warming, 70% of drinking water for Hong Kong comes from the Dong River. 70% of drinking water for Hong Kong from the Dong River, which in turn is ultimately fed by glaciers. Now, tens of thousands of lakes and rivers throughout the world are drying out now due to global warming and glaciers melting. It is thus only a matter of time before Hong Kong will be affected by the Dong River drying out as well. Knowing this, it would be best if we adopt the lifestyle that will restore the stability of our environment and benefit all beings in the world, which surely is a compassionate way of life, beginning with a vegan diet, no animal product. So please, Chef, join this noble cause and share it with others, especially through your work. There are so many meat substitutes available today. We just cook the same as we cook meat, except we replace that piece of meat with a piece of vegetarian protein, which has more nutrition. first-hand protein instead of second-hand through the animals. So I'm sure you could adapt your delicious dishes to being vegan. If you need any additional information, you can obtain it freely from www.suprememastertv.com/VEG or ask any of our association members to help you. They'll be willing to serve you anytime. And then you would be contributing to the real solution. In fact, the only one that will really work at this time to save our world and save 70% drinking water for Hong Kong. Without water, where would we be? Yes? So thank you for your important questions. And thank you for being a good chef.
Thank you. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Mr. Chen.
I wish you all the best.
And now we have Mr. Peter Lloyd, who is a vegan and is also editor of Positive News and Holistic Asia.
Ah, I heard of him. Yes. Welcome, Mr. Lloyd.
Thank you.
Good day, sir.
Good day. The question is, how can we inspire hope and joy through ecological activism? I guess what I'm trying to dig deeper to is how do we make this a longer-term commitment? I can make the choice as an individual, but how do I convey that to other people? So it's sort of a deeper look at this cultural change of going vegetarian. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Lloyd, it's understandable that you are concerned like that. It's kind of new, huh? This vegan trend is new to many people, even government officials as well. So we have to just do what we can. You may copy many of the information concerning the harmful effect of the meat diet and the benefit of the vegetarian diet, and copy the info, print them out, and send them, or send them through email to whoever you know, or to the government, to the organizations, to the farmers, etc. Yes. But I'm so happy, by the way, to see that you are already a compassionate example. Yes, that you are vegan. It's so not easy for Westerners even, who are so used to being raised as a child and believing in animal protein. It's so not very easy for you. I'm very proud of you and very impressed. And you are a part of a Positive News media even. That impressed me even more. That's wonderful. Please continue your job. God bless you. As for how to inspire hope and joy through your activism for the environment, well, as I have said, I understand that a lot of the ecological and environmental news today is not very good due to the effects of global warming. We hear about glaciers melting, water becoming more scarce, rising food shortages, rising food prices with over 1 billion people going hungry every day, animals becoming extinct and many species gone forever, and so on and so forth. It can seem overwhelming, especially if we think that we are only one person and the problems are so vast. But be assured, Mr. Lloyd, that even though our time is running out, we do still have time to save this beautiful planet and restore it to original splendor, or even more so, if all turn to vegan diet. You embody the very solution already that needed for our world. As it has already been mentioned, recent research shows that more than 50% of emissions that are hitting the planet come from the livestock industry. Not 18%, huh? 80% was the underestimate, the initial estimate from the UN only. Right now, the evidence, the data show that livestock industry produce 50% plus. I'm sure there is more. But this is kind of conservative report. That's 50% greenhouse gas emission, which heat up our planet, which put our lives in danger, which put our world into the perilous situation of mass extinction is from livestock industry. Please tell everybody this, whoever you can. More than 50%, can you imagine? If we stop meat industry, 50% of the heating factor is gone. And then if we turn to organic vegan diet, then 40% more plus of CO2 will be absorbed immediately from the atmosphere by organic vegan planting method. You see what I mean? So we'll be smiling. Yes, just a small little change. I don't know how difficult can it be to replace a piece of meat with a piece of tofu or a piece of vegetable protein. It looks the same, it tastes even better, more healthy, cheaper in any way. Good for your health. So please just spread this info through your media. Yeah? The solution is at hand for each and every one of us, which is simply to forego animal products and become vegan. One small change is no big deal. As I have mentioned many times before, this is not a good thing to say, but I have to make a comparison. If we accuse the people of drug, of alcohol, tobacco addiction, that they could not change, they could not quit, we have to accuse ourselves, because drug, tobacco, alcohol, there is no other thing to replace them, for what they are. I don't mean they're good, but there's no other thing to replace for the alcohol addict or the tobacco addict or a drug addictive person. Anyone who is addicted to these three substances, drug, alcohol, and tobaccos, they cannot find any other substance to substitute it. So it's difficult for them to quit. And these substances are more difficult to quit. And we could even quit meat, which is replaceable by many other better things. Taste better, cheaper, good for health, save the planet. If we could not even quit that piece of meat, then we cannot accuse the drug people, the alcohol people, or the tobacco people, even the producer of them. If we want to make drug, alcohol, and tobaccos all illegal, limited their production and sales, then we have to also start with meat and right now, because this is even worse than all of them, all of the other three. I'm sorry to say, if I offend anyone, I sincerely apologize, but my lifestyle is to tell the truth at all costs. Now, even if the guy who drinks alcohol, maybe he harmed himself, he caused his family trouble, he cost some tax money for hospitalization, he might even, the worst scenario, kill somebody on the street by drunk driving. Okay, that affects a small group of people, yes? And drugs, the same with drugs, the same with tobacco, cigarette, yes, affect a small group of people. But meat diet affect the whole world, affect the whole planet. It's killing our lives, it's killing the planet, and it's leading the planet into total destruction if we don't stop.
Thank you, Master. And it is really an inspiration answer for us to know how dangerous it is to take meat.
Yes, it is.
And thank you, Mr. Lloyd.
It's dangerous to take meat. More than drug, more than alcohol, more than cigarette. That's why I put meat as number one killer and the other three later on. But we have many more things we have to tackle, of course. But these four are the worst killers of all. And if we want to save our lives and the planet, we have to clean up these substances.
Thank you, Master.
Thank you, Master.
Thank you, Master.
Some of the diseases related to meat consumption and or production: Q fever, norovirus, swine flu, Ebola reston virus. Cured meats and fish increase leukemia risk in children. Antibiotic-resistant superbug infections from a strain of Staphylococcus aureus. Blue tongue disease, E. coli, salmonella. Bird flu, mad cow disease or Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, 90% of the population at risk, pig's disease or PMWS, listeriosis, shellfish poisoning, preeclampsia, Campylobacter, Clostridium difficile, diseases hidden in healthy-appearing livestock, some of the costs of meat eating. Infertility. Eating just one serving of meat per day increases the risk of women's infertility by 32%, with additional meat consumption increasing the risk. Heart disease. Over 17 million lives lost globally each year. Cost of cardiovascular disease is at least $1 trillion a year. Cancer. Colon rectal cancer. Over 1 million new colon cancer patients diagnosed each year. More than 600,000 colon cancer-related mortalities annually. In the United States alone, colon cancer treatment costs about $6.5 billion. Millions of people are newly diagnosed with other meat-related cancers every year. Diabetes. 246 million people are affected worldwide. An estimated $174 billion spent each year on treatment in just the United States. Obesity. Worldwide, 1.6 billion adults are overweight, with 400 million more who are obese. Costs $93 billion each year for medical expenses in the United States alone. At least 2.6 million people die annually from problems related to being overweight or obese. Environmental. Uses up to 70% of clean water. Pollutes most of the water bodies. Deforests the lungs of the earth. Uses up to 43% of the world's cereal. Uses up to 85% of the world's soy. Causes world hunger and wars. 80% cause of global warming. Plus more.
Some of the costs of milk consumption. Cowpox from milking cows. Bacterial microbes, pesticides and enzymes found in cheese derived from the inner stomach linings of other animals. Up to 80% of the calories in cheese are from pure fat. Breast, prostate and testicular cancer from hormones present in milk. Listeria and Crohn's disease. Hormones and saturated fat leads to osteoporosis, obesity, diabetes and heart disease. Linked to higher incidences of multiple sclerosis. Classified as a major allergen. Lactose intolerance. Plus more.
For more urgent information, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/killers.
Our next honorable guest is Miss Natalie Wong, a primary school teacher.
Welcome.
青海無上師你好啊！今日咧其實我係想問嘅，而家咧好多嘅蔬果入邊咧，佢都加入咗一啲嘅動物性嘅基因嘅。咁喺呢一種情況之下，如果係素食者進食呢一啲嘅蔬果嘅話，對佢哋會有啲咩影響嘅咧
？You mean the GMO, the genetically modified food? Yes?
Yes, Master.
Okay, understand. Yeah, this is not too good, is it? Thank you for your thoughtful questions and your concern. You are right. There is a very direct connection between meat consumption and swine flu as well, and most other human disease. And the same if we put animals in our vegetable product, it will affect us in many ways, huh? I think we should not mess with the nature law of karma, because every action brings an equal reaction. This means that if we bring no harm to other beings, in this case being vegan, then no harm will come to us. But if we kill, we will be killed. But the thing is, nowadays, many people try to do this so-called genetically modified food. Huh? So sometimes we eat the vegetarian food and we don't even know that there are animal substance in it. And does it affect us, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, if that's what you mean, it does affect us. Not just from physical perspective, but also spiritual as well, scientifically speaking. Meat is being linked to disease of all kinds, with cholesterol, obesity, heart diseases, and strokes. Meat consumption has now been linked to more than one kind of cancer and even has been shown to directly cause cancers, just as bowel cancer, etc. So if we put meat or animals substance into vegetables, then we will also have similar effect, more or less. I think we should not mess up with nature and play God. Whatever nature has already offered to us, that is good enough. We should just be thankful and keep it that way. Because if we mess it up, we will probably inherit more than we bargained for. There might be more incurable disease that come from GMO that we don't even know will happen yet. Right now, even if we just eat the normal meat, and we have so many incurable disease already, if we mix it with vegetable, maybe we will have more incurable disease and more strange disease that we don't even know how to deal with in the future. So it's better to have organic vegan farming method. Thank you.
Thank you, Master. Thank you for your advice. And thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.
This is great. I think that what your organization and Master Qinghai has been doing is great. We need to mobilize all components and sectors from the society and in the world working together and trying to improve our environment, to save the lives. I think that this collaboration is great. At the different levels, spiritual is also important. I think your organization and Master Qinghai is trying to work at that level, which I think is essential when we're back to the fundamentals of humanity.
今次參加完呢個視像會議，就對呢個全球暖化同埋各行各業關於肉食嘅行業咧認識更多咯。我而家都係 vegetarian 啦，咁我就諗住盡量去將自己變成一個 vegan， 咁對環境做出一份貢獻咯。我覺得佢好慈祥啦，同埋真係一代名師咯，係啊，同埋佢都好關心啲狗仔啊。我呼籲大家素食環保救地球，耶！
我想永续经营跟这个绿色的科技呢，以及素食呢，应该是3个非常重要的这个所谓环保救地球里面非常重要的因素。我非常赞成，就是说吃素呢，救地球呢，这是一个很好的方法。
我嘅名叫做 Vishaka Priya Devidas， 咁咧就係我哋嚟自咧就ISKCON 國際 Krishna 知覺協會嘅。咁我哋呢個係運動咧就係唔單止係即係推廣素食啦，即係會係有從身心靈咁樣係即係關注我哋呢個人啦，同埋係靈性啦，同埋即係整體即係可以推廣到即係國際性一個環保啊，或者係整全嘅一個運動嚟嘅。其實即係家下我哋見到好多世界上好多嘅天災人禍咧，睇上嚟咧就好似係普通嘅一啲大自然嘅災害咧，其實就係因為我哋糟蹋緊呢個地球，係譬如話養動物啦，咁其實都係喺度剝削緊咁嘅地球，而係為咗俾人哋食咧，咁嘥咗大自然咧好多嘅一啲資源嘅。Be veg, go green and save the planet。
我哋有時都覺得食素咧係都幾好嘅，因為我哋唱歌嘅人咧，如果食得多肉咧，好似覺得嗰個喉嚨啊比較濁一啲。我覺得青海無上師咧係從聽佢講嘢咧，我覺得佢係一個好慈祥嘅人，同埋佢非常之愛護地球，亦都不遺餘力去推動呢個救地球同埋食素嘅行動。食素環保救地球。
我係嚟自廣州嘅，我係嚟支持青海無上師呢個素食嘅宣傳活動。 所以我覺得食素咧係好好，對一個人嘅身體健康係有好處嘅。身體健康，
食多啲素咧對你嘅頭腦都好好添嘅。你睇我幾叻啊，全班攞第一添嘅。吃全素，環保，拯救地球。
頭先我都提問咗俾阿毛上司，就話究竟點樣去同啲畜牧業啊，或者係啲從業者，如果冇咗畜牧業之後，佢哋點算？咁我覺得毛上司嘅答法咧就非常之好咯，同埋佢真係好積極去支持環保咯。咁所以其實好多人即係聽完之後都會覺得佢係有感染力嘅。食咗素之後個心境會平和啲啦，同埋唔會有殺生啊，同埋做其他即係不良嘅嘢咯。咁其實對個社會係非常之好嘅。咁所以其實點解唔可以推廣出去咧？咁所以會繼續叫啲朋友啊，或者叫啲其他身邊嘅人咧都支持素食咯。吃全素，環保，救地球。
今天很高興來到這裡，看到這麼多志同道合的人談論的這個救地球新年新的活動，感到特別的溫暖。知道這個上師呢一直在環保啊，在救地球方面有很深的愛心，還有他已經自己捐獻了很多自己的能量，還有他的很多實際的行動，來一起呼籲拯救地球。我覺得呢，他是一個充滿愛的人，我對他是非常尊敬的。
我自己咧就食素食咗有7年，咁原先食素嘅原因咧就希望就係對自己健康好啲，同埋就係話啲動物咧咁可愛，我哋應該值得尊重啦。咁亦都係保護呢個地球係非常之好嘅一個做法啦。咁今日好高興啦，咁受到世界會呢邊嘅邀請，咁係過嚟參與呢個聚會。咁頭先聽咗Master 佢講嘅時候咧，即係覺得佢係一個非常之有理想理念嘅人。咁佢將自己一個嘅真話，佢嘅真實嘅嘢，去用唔同嘅渠道方式去推動俾世界每一個人知道。咁其實我覺得呢一種精神係應該學習啦。咁同埋就係話佢咁好嘅信息咧，我哋希望咧都聽到之後，雖然唔係話即刻可以立即可以食素，咁但係希望都可以一步一步咯。咁希望你哋可以參加呢個素食嘅行列啦，去拯救人類同埋拯救呢個地球。大家發揮你哋嘅愛心同埋慈悲心，吃全素環保救地球。
聽到呢個講座咧，我覺得都好高興，因為咧發覺青海無上師咧，佢喺呢方面喺環保啊、素食嗰方面咧係深思熟慮，考慮過好詳盡好全面咁嚟去認識，然後再介紹出嚟，而係睇佢個答案裏邊咧，睇到佢係好有體會嘅同埋佢有同感對嗰啲動物肉食嘅睇法，即係主張嗰種慈悲心咧，而實現咗喺呢個救地球嗰個過程裏邊出嚟嘅。但係聽咗今日上師所講嘅答案之後咧，就會更加積極啲，同埋咧都鼓勵身邊啲人同埋啲病人咧去素食。就我會喺呢方面咧再加多啲功夫添咁咧就希望能夠將呢個素食同埋救地球呢個信息咧傳播得更廣更遠。青海無上師提出呢個口號咧，我都非常之贊成嘅係。咁佢啲口號好簡單，吃全素、環保、救地球。
It seems like a whole circle has come round, and seeing the Grand Master here talking about vegan cooking and organic food and saving the planet has been a big inspiration to me. A very charming lady of lots of wisdom and compassion and understanding.